Felix, welcome to TechTrends.
Thank you for having me.
Latest statistics show that unemployment is on the rise. How do you think technology can help?
As we see anyway, the youth have no other option but to actually explore the use of technology for, at least trying to find a way of sustaining themselves and, creating innovations that can be of value. I think technology as an enabler ordinarily has a bit more reduced barriers to entry from, a startup stage, meaning, we have a lot of our young unemployed now learning, programming, coding and all that using, YouTube and the likes, which is free. So I think they're self-taught, and based on that, they can actually, push themselves to kind of, find solutions that can, give them some leverage, and with that, hopefully, have where it's a value proposition to the market, and at the same time, build a business from that, hopefully. So I think we see that as a viable option, and it's a no-brainer. The world itself has moved, in line with seeing how traditional, models need to be adopting technology as a way of, enhancing productivity, efficiency, and all that for both businesses, both lifestyles, and just anything that can make life much easier.
I've met a lot of brilliant people in the technical space, whether they're programmers, coders, but they are bad on the business skills and maybe marketing side of it. What do you think they should do?
I think another fundamental thing that this brings out from your question is that what we also see is the I want to be on my own kind of mentality, especially in this community, which doesn't support success in terms of models. Everybody trying to be isolated, trying to do their own thing can never be a formula for, a successful, business and growth. And I think that's part of what also the youth and especially need to focus on in terms of finding, complementing, partners that they could work with. So for instance, as you're saying, you're graduating, you're into coding and you're a technical person. Obviously, you can't be an all-rounder. So you need to have somebody that's in the marketing space. You need to have somebody that's in the finance or accounting space, so that there's a much more rounded support, that you're coming in and starting off from a business element. And that also indicates that you're prepared for the business world, rather than just saying, okay, I have an idea and I just want to throw it out there and see what will happen. And of course, even with that support for needing funding and needing other elements of, guidance, is based on positioning also. It's how you position yourself. So I think it's fundamental that a lot of people need to find how they can work together, how they can get support from, like minds, and, position businesses rather than individuals, but as, a collective, because at the end of the day, more is better than just one.
A lot of startups say that our environment is hard, and they're using Canada as their second home. How do you think this will pan out for us in the long run?
It's a brain drain, you understand. It's really unfortunate. It's really a sad situation to see that happening, because it's not even an element of where we're looking at only very young youth leaving the country, but we're actually seeing people that have spent 20, 30 years of work life, So it's really a scary situation that I think the government, the private sector itself, in terms of industries and everything, need to, I don't know, in our economy itself, we need to really face how we can fix and support that growth that we all desire, because we're losing so much. Because we're building, these are intelligent people, of course, having access to even travel, building other communities instead of building their own homes, and that's a sad situation.
So Felix, what kind of support do you think that we should be giving startups, whether it is government or even the private sector?
Fundamentally, I think apart from, learning and development, which is key, access to a lot of data insights and intelligence, meaning being more open in terms of statistics, in terms of numbers. That gives a lot of direction to people that are wanting to go into business, wanting to, that is readily available in international markets. These things, I think we have a very closed community where, it seems like, to be able to get access to information, data, intelligence to make the relevant decisions, it's just a hard sell, or it's quite expensive in that case. And, of course, also in terms of injecting funds and, the necessary structures that can guide and support. So not just expecting international funding, but bringing up initiatives, both private, like say state governments to, federal governments, finding out direct initiatives that can be an investment vehicle, into projects, startups, and businesses. And I think that's fundamental.
People say partnership don't work, but we know it has worked with a lot of big brands, that we all know. What do you think we can do to bring that culture of partnership here?
Well, I think partnerships should first start predominantly local in that sense. Of course, where you do have international, support or partnerships, that positions you in a much more better light in terms of support financially and the other technical and elements of that can make that business succeed. But we also need to look within. I think it's time for us, we as Nigerians, we as Africans, need to be able to know that, it's the 21st century. It's a time where, we need to be able to trust each other and even support each other in terms of growing and establishing to be able to compete against, the best of them that are out there in the world. While international partnerships are always good for particular reasons and depending on, of course, what the situations are. But I think there's also the need for us where, as we start building solutions for local problems, we also need to push ourselves within our immediate communities to see how our own partnerships, because it's an element of building trust within ourselves. I think that's a big issue also, that is kind of, a predominant aspect, that we're easy to trust foreign brands compared to our local brands. That narrative needs to change to be able to support even, like I said, our youth coming up with ideas and all that. They should be able to trust that the community they live in would be able to actually pay them for those efforts. So those are fundamental.
Finally, we all get excited about technology and how it is helping us become better. But are you worried that cloud technology and disruptive technologies are making it more difficult for startups to compete?
The cloud space, in terms of the architecture using cloud technology and all that, has enabled what it is a platform kind of model. And we've seen that the world has evolved and is using the platform model to be able to sustain and be more accessible to different elements of businesses that could have for those kind of infrastructures in the first place. So that is, it's a shift that has already happened in the market, and there's nothing for which you can fight. But local companies are also challenging in that space, and and I think it's a model that's already here to stay, and it's a model that's more affordable, and just like in terms of our own elements of direction for Ask an Expert, is that aspect of the similar model where people have access in more molecular, smaller, affordable rates in terms of services and products.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, sir.
That was Felix Wrangdong, CEO, Ask an Expert. Well, based on some of his points, this is indeed a great time to be a startup as long as you stay hungry for knowledge and set up proper structures. Remember, it is not only about raising money, but also primarily about your customers and if they are happy paying for your products or services. We've come to the end of today's show. Do follow us on social media, and don't forget you can watch these and previous editions of the show on the channel's TV YouTube account or via my blog cfatech.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.